Welcome to the Self-Care Show with DeEtte Sanford. Although holistic and alternative healing methods are becoming more and more mainstream, what method is right for you? How do you find a practitioner once you've chosen to explore an alternative therapy? Each week, DeEtte will explore a different modality with practitioners who will explain their modality and the benefits they and their clients have received through their sessions. She and her guests may also offer live readings during the show. Now, your host of the Self-Care Show, DeEtte Sanford.
Good morning, Parapeeps. How's your Wednesday? Mine is rocking. It's rocking so hard that we're like, I don't know, 2 minutes late getting in all your faces. And I apologize for that. But here we are. Thanks for waiting. And good morning, Caden. Thanks for popping in already this morning. I loved seeing your little greeting. Don't forget, you guys, jump in, put your comments in. I have a feeling you're all going to have a bunch of questions for us today. And don't forget those StreamYard permissions. Well, it's Wednesday. It's November 30th. November is almost over and December is knocking at the door. Good morning, Teresa. I am really excited. And I know I say this every week. I'm really excited. We've got a great guest, but we do. I met today's guest about 6 years ago, and I got a reading from our guest. Hi, Tim. And I cried all the way through that reading. Like the minute I sat down in the chair, I started tearing up, and I didn't stop for almost the whole thing. And as a reader, we know that, there you go. Todd's saying hi, Tim and Caden. As a reader, we know that when our clients have this kind of automatic tear flow, we've put our fingers kind of right on where we need to be. And it's rewarding. And I will tell you, of all the readings I have had, I don't think anybody has had me crying all the way through in the reading like this one has. And you guys all know her already, or most of you do. DeEtte Ranae has agreed to come and chat with us this morning. And I know I started talking about DeEtte as a reader, as her psychic medium self. That's not what we're here for today. There is so much to this woman. We're all still learning different aspects. She never hesitates to share. She's very forthright about who she is, what she's done to get where she is, where she's going next when she can share. But there's this little component of her that those of us who've worked one-on-one with her, I'm sure already sense and get glimpses of from time to time. But she doesn't talk a whole lot about herself as a healer. And that's the part of her that we really, really want to bring out and learn more about today. So not only is she a certified master teacher, she is a paranormal investigator. She works with the Warren Legacy Foundation. She's helping raise her grandchildren. She still finds time to travel and do the psychic fairs, the health, mind, body, spirit fairs, and work one-on-one with people. She's offering her Zoom readings through her website, so you can find her almost anytime, almost anywhere. But let's bring DeEtte in so she can talk with us about her aspects as a healer. Good morning.
Good morning.
How
Good morning.
are you today?
I'm awesome. The other thing people don't know about me is I'm also a certified Reiki teacher master
There you go. Thank you.
and Kuan Yin healer. There's a list. There's a list of initials. Because I started with healing before I started with anything else.
Well, and I remembered reading, and Tim says it's not possible to get too much.
Oh, yes, there is, Tim. Oh, yes, there is.
Monday mornings, we've got your School Through Spirit show at 9 a.m. On Tuesdays, Unfiltered at 6 p.m., all Central Standard Time. You have another reading show that you
actually gave up the other show this week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my plate's getting really full, really, really full with a lot of things between work and family, and something had to give. I hate StreamYard because everything's crooked and I can never figure it out. So It's gonna drive me batty. Oh, it's gonna be a bad hair day. Let's just go swimming and have a good day instead.
There you go.
So, yeah, things got a little messy on my plate. So, I had to give, and that is one of the things that had to give. So,
Well, you know, there's only so much of you that you can give,
oh yeah,
right? And you're so
yeah.
generous with your time, your support, especially with your students, your clients. I don't know where you find all the hours in a day.
There's lots of them. There's lots of hours. I'm telling you, StreamYard needs to figure out how to do things. Sorry.
Kate, I don't know if you
Thank
can see
you,
the
Kate. I'm
comments.
gonna take that. I have no hats or beanies. I need like little elf ears. What that go up the top of my head.
I love it. So you mentioned Reiki master teacher. You mentioned Kuan Yin.
Yes.
Talk to us about, it kind of seems maybe a little bit like a natural to go from your nursing to her healing certification programs. Those two probably kind of work, or those aspects probably kind of work together for you.
They did, but not for years. Not for years into it. Honestly, I was doing the psychic stuff. God, I've been doing that psychic mediumship forever. You know what I mean? Not realizing I was doing it, doing a lot of it.
Yeah.
Incorporated in my life, but really not there with it, if that makes sense. I had no recollection really of what was going on. It was just part of me. And I actually had a really hard time in my life. I was in this really hard abusive relationship. And at the time the man was locked up in jail. So of course I'm like, oh my God, I gotta save him. Because when you're in an abusive relationship, that's what you do.
Right.
And I had some amazing friends that were like trying to pull me out of it in their own little way. And one of them, one night we were at the bar having a few, and it was quite a few. And I don't drink anymore, probably because of that. But she said, hey, give me your hand. And she just did this, my hand to hers. And the heat and the energy I felt, I was like, oh my God, I got to do this. To me, it was magic. And we talked about it. And again, the boyfriend at the time, I was in that relationship for 12 years, was in jail. So I had a lot of time. I had 2 kids, but they were both, they were like teenage years, you know what I mean? So I literally scheduled, I found a Reiki master in the town I live in, and I scheduled my attunements, but how they say you have to wait 21 days for a cleansing, cycling period in between Reiki attunements. So I literally scheduled my attunements back to back to back, exactly 3 weeks to the minute. 3 weeks to the minute, boom, did it. Boom, boom, boom. And I can remember when I went through that, the first attunement, every attunement, I'd go back to my mother's house and I would lay down on the couch with her, and I put my feet, because they would wear me out. I put my feet against her, and she said my feet would be on fire and I would be out for like 4 hours. And she didn't move because she thought I was dead or something, The first attunement, really nothing happened. I'd had irritable bowel syndrome my whole life. I got regular. That was it. I'm like, oh, isn't this cool? Not, you know what I mean? Because I was hearing all these amazing things that were going to happen, and nothing amazing happened. But my last attunement is where I got really messed up. And because at that time I was working I was an agency nurse, but I was working for the prison system here in Wisconsin. And I was going into work every day, but I was in excruciating pain. I couldn't eat. I would drink and you could hear it go through my system. I literally would go to the prison, and I would sign in, and I would go to the conference room, and I'd lay in the ball and I'd cry. I was just in that much pain. And my boss would come and look at me like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. But eventually, after a few weeks, he forced me to leave work, and he forced me to go to the emergency room.
Wow. Thinking
I was going to go into surgery, or, because I'm working with a bunch of nurses and stuff, and they knew that something seriously was wrong. I went to the emergency room. They did every test, and my labs, everything came back picture perfect. But they shot me up twice with Toradol, and no relief in pain. No relief whatsoever. Nothing.
Wow.
And they went, we really don't know what's wrong with you. So I called my son, who was in high school at the time. He was just up the road. Well, yeah, because he was a teenager. I said, can you come pick me up? And he said, after school, he said, yeah. So he picked me up on the way home. Another week went by, and finally I called up a friend, and he said, come. And because he was working at a metaphysical shop, and I walked through the door, and I must have looked like death had worn over, and it was bad. And he's like, oh, hell no. And he calculated some sort of mixture of aromatherapy oils for me and start sniffing this. Instantly, pain was gone. Everything was gone. I'm like, what happened? He goes, you opened your Kundalini. and it didn't shut. And then he was like, what did you do? And I told him, he's like, you don't do that.
No, not that way.
No, I had forced it open, and for 30 days had been going up and down and up and down. And he's like, you should have probably been insane. But it was just so much pain. It was excruciating. So that was literally my trip into healing, and of course after that, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I went and became a magnified healer and a Kuan Yin person, and any healing modality I could do, I had my fingers in.
Isn't it interesting how so many of us find our path, put our feet on path after these abusive relationships? I mean, I've been through mine.
Yeah.
Or after some big physical upheaval, some crazy thing in our world.
You know what? I firmly believe that spirit puts obstacles in our way or things in our way for almost like wake up calls, like that type of thing. I know my life really is a dynamic of just, excuse the language, but shit from birth on, and I'm not gonna, you know what, to me, it's nothing. It's just my life. Somebody else goes, oh my God, don't say you poor thing. Cause it's like, no, it's not. But I am a firm believer that our soul really contracts for a lifetime. It contracts for a lot of things. And my soul went, you know what? You want to level up this. You want to do a lot of learning this lifetime around.
Right.
So you know what? I decided to jam pack a lot in there. And I do believe those are the things that kind of bring us to where we're going to be in life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the more life I've lived, the more understanding I have for my clients.
Right.
So so I don't know if it's so much of it's a wake up or if it's like, oh, bingo, this is what's going to force us to kind of open up and look into something, I know one of my students, literally had a conversation with her this last week, and she goes, you know what? I was selfish. I began this for selfish reasons. I'm like, I know. And she's like, all I want to do is to be able to talk to my husband because he'd passed away within a year. I said, I know. And she goes, but you grabbed me and forced me into this. I said, no, I didn't. This was your path. I just recognized what your path was and why you showed up on my doorstep, basically. And I'm like, but what's your passion now? She goes, this. I can't get enough of this. She goes, but that's not the reason. I said, I know it's not. It's not why you started it, but it's how you got started.
Right. Caden popped a question in for us. He wants to know if you believe anyone can learn Reiki, or does it take a particular style of person?
Nope. Reiki is for the masses.
Big time.
I call most Reiki practitioners, and please, I'm not trying to offend the world, but coffee clutch Reiki people.
Yeah.
And I think it's because a lot of people to me, Reiki is also like a gateway drug, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing.
It was for me.
It's not a bad thing, but I think a lot of people, you jump into Reiki because, oh my gosh, I want to do this. And you go through an attunement, you can do it. Honestly, it doesn't take any master thing to do this. It's really easy. But literally, you'll find people jump into Reiki and it's to get them started into something else, but they have to start here first.
Right. Good morning.
You say good morning, DeEtte? Okay, say good morning, DeEtte.
Hi, Lisa.
Okay, go back with Grandma. Go back with Gigi.
Come on.
Go back with your Gigi. He finds out I'm on the radio. He's got to come say hi.
Why not?
But I do find what happens is you get a lot of people that jump into Reiki because it feels good. Or they like it, but really it may not be their path. It's not their forte. It's not their thing. You know what I mean? So they get together once a month. They do Reiki shares, which I think are magical, amazing. But really they don't want to do anything more than that with it. Mm-hmm. So,
and then there's the other side of the spectrum where you sit down with your friends from Reiki class and have a meal, and everybody's like Reikiing their water and Reikiing their food, which is awesome. We always want to have our food to be at the highest energetic level, for sure.
And that's just it. So I think it's just a matter of which level, which this, which that you're going to take it to. And then you have people like me that jump into Reiki, and I still do it, but it changed itself. I allowed Reiki. I don't even want to say Reiki. Reiki was my gateway and it was my
Mhm.
end. It was not what I was going to stay with. Now, do I have the symbols tattooed on my spine? I do. I'll tell you what, I'm devoted. I really am devoted to healing. I got them, a lot of my symbols tattooed on my spine. Because I got sick and tired of drawing them or putting them in my hands. It was like, I ain't got time for that.
Right.
But literally what ended up happening was the energy work I did changed from Reiki into something different.
Mhm. And I think that's kind of the beauty, if you will, of energy work or doing the healing work is that as we go through our processes, we can step into, like you went on to Kwanya and I went on to pranic healing. I started
Yeah.
with Reiki. And I guess the only way I can put this is our guides help us develop how we're going to use and represent our healing aspects and our healing energy work.
Yeah. Oh,
So
110%.
as many people as we probably between the two of us, or even just you alone, know who are Reiki practitioners or Reiki master teachers, everyone's style is just a little bit different.
Oh, 110%. I've got symbols
Right.
on my back that people are like, what's that? I'm like, it's like some of the major ones. Like,
Yeah,
they're
right.
like, we never got taught that. I'm like, it's okay. And that's when you start to realize that I think different masters created their own symbols for things too, which is okay. It's
I think the only
just fun.
symbol I still use is the power symbol when I smudge a space. Throw this
Choka, chokeray.
Rick.
I had to think about it. It's on my back.
Well, that's because, you don't have to consciously think of it all the time. But as I'm smudging a room, as I finish, before I move on to the next room, I'll be throwing power symbols in, or even at windows when I do house blessings.
Yeah.
Tim is asking if Reiki will help him understand the energy he feels in his body.
No. I don't think Reiki helps you to understand it. I think it helps you to fine tune things.
Mhm,
Although you can do that without Reiki. You can
mhm.
do it without becoming attuned. Um, and I'm going to say that because I think that goes back to when I say we have coffee college people. Because again, when you have, gosh, what people don't realize when Reiki first was developed, there was a process to become attuned, and it took a few
Yeah.
years to become a master. It came with a lot of understanding. It came with a lot of seriousness. It came with, you know what, this is energy and it's not to be taken lightly.
Mhm.
Okay. So it went from that to literally, I know when I got mine, I mean, clearly somebody wasn't doing what they're supposed to be doing if this is what happened to me. You know what I mean? Because literally, I would walk into the person's room once every 3 weeks. We would spend an hour looking at some makeshift papered manual she put together and flipping pages, reading stuff to me. And trust me, I didn't understand a word of what she was saying. And then the attunement and left. That was it. And there was never
Wow.
really any direction even after that. Even after my master teacher, there was nothing. There was no understanding of anything. You know what I mean? It was like, and you find that so many, and I know this particular person has turned out probably over 1,000 Reiki people with the same level of understanding. So if you go to somebody and you're getting this attunement and you're getting nothing with it, how are you supposed to understand what's going on in
Right.
here? You're not. So if you're going to go get Reiki to understand your body, find somebody that really is not coffee clutching like as many people under their lineage and under their name, but really somebody that's going to say, hey, we're going to do this over a year period of time or a 2-year period of time. We're going to really get you to understand things, which is going to bring it back to understanding your body.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I've been at this probably 15, 20 years now, something like that. And I'm finally figuring it out. I'm really damn good at it, but I'm finally figuring out my body with the energy, with this, and going, oh, it made me a medical intuitive. Holy crap, who knew? You know what I mean? Who knew? So yeah. So to me, it's like if you're gonna do it, and you're serious, really find that person it's a passion and they really want you to understand all of it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I
AKA,
love
I don't, even though I'm a teacher of it, I don't teach it just
it.
because I don't want the responsibility of that.
And I know that the integrity and the authenticity is so important to you
Mhm.
as you teach and
Mhm.
as you help your students to learn and develop and grow and
Mhm.
expand. It's
Oh
it's
yeah.
like the keystone of everything that you teach.
Well, I still And that's really funny because that's one thing I had to come to terms with the word healer. I hate when I walked away from Reiki, I didn't want to be called a healer. I didn't want to own that title. I didn't want anything to do with that title. I thought that title was generic. And it took me a long time to go, wow, I'm a healer. And then I heard you're the healer. And I went, what the hell does that mean? And it's not like it's like big old quotes or anything like that. But it was Spirit's way of getting me to understand that I was a healer, even if I wasn't placing hands on somebody, right. I was a healer in different dynamics. And that's one thing I push with the integrity of my students and the authenticity is that you guys are healers. I may not be sending you into the world, put your hands on and do energetic healing that way. But every time you have a client in front of you, you're helping them to heal or resolve something in some manner. So understanding grief, understanding the processes, understanding their lives, understanding all of that, it makes you so much more dynamic and it takes you out of the gypsy. God, I'm using words I shouldn't be using. I'm so sorry. It's a stereotype. It's the let's say stereotype gypsy, not, whatever it is, but that stereotypical person that, does 5-cent readings on the road to somebody that really, I want you to realize that you're affecting somebody's life. Mm-hmm. That's highly important. I want my students to show up and have their clients walk away better.
Yeah.
Than they were when they sat down with you.
And I think that is one of the reasons that after having worked with you as a client, I chose to work with you as a student.
And you know what's funny? You're talking about your reading. I'm like, I don't remember it.
How many thousands of people have you seen and read for? Whether on Zoom, on your shows, on the road, since then? I mean, that was 6 years ago. Ish.
I can't even tell you where it was at.
Pheasant Run.
Where?
Pheasant Run. Down in St. Charles here.
A long time ago.
Yeah, it was a very long time ago. And I was this timid.
Yeah, I think that event particularly I was shocked because I was slammed the whole time. Like, oh my God, they opened up and I went, ah.
But I think kind of that's a little bit to your point of your authenticity and knowing that the words that you use, even though you're delivering directly the information you're getting, your style of delivery, your tone of voice when you deliver, is healing every aspect of what you do. Absolutely. I cried all the way. It's like I sat down in that chair and cracked open.
I'm right. Yes,
here's a raw spot. Here's a wound. Just go ahead.
Get them.
You have to,
I honestly like to see, I love to see tears. I love to see makeup smeared. I love to see tears. I love to see that welling up. And because it's healing, tears are healing, yeah. And I don't, and it's weird because if you go to an event, you can walk through and all these readers have tissue on their table. You won't find it on my table. I don't bring a box and shove it. I have a personal little thingy of 10 in my purse because I don't want to wipe your tears. The minute you wipe somebody's tears, they stop crying. The healing stops. I want them to flow. I want the men to tear up and then watch them just kind of come out, because even when they're trying to do it with their hands, they can't stop the tears. Right. Now, if I see snot, dude, we're going to the bathroom. I'm going to help you blow it, get that crap out,
That's a little beyond teacher. I had a Jungian-based astrological intuitive with whom I worked for years. Every once in a blue moon in a reading, he'd put the Kleenex box out when it became needed. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it was in the cabinet, But every once in a while, when this was back in the day when he would do the sessions and record on cassette tape. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, he'd say, no, you need to hang on to those tissues. It was like the energy of the healing needed to come with me and stay with me rather than be left behind in his trash can.
Yeah. That's scary.
And it's not like you're setting out to make someone cry.
Oh, yeah, you are.
That's not the goal. Well,
oh, yeah, you are.
I think it's a product of the healing.
You would not believe how many readings I've done, and I've literally seen the Hallmark Channel in a box of cheap wine. And I tell them, like, you understand, I'll tell them I can feel this, and I can feel like the shield, and I'm trying to rip it off, and you won't let me rip it off. They're like, I don't know how to get it to start. And I will hear this, and I will say it. Okay, this is what you're going to do safely. You're going to get yourself a box of Kleenex because you're going to have snot coming out. Okay, you're going to put the Hallmark channel on, and you're going to get yourself a box of cheap wine. Yes, the box. Yes, cheap, because you might have to sit there a few nights, But and they look at me, they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "The wine is to help with the inhibitions and clear your urinary tract, I guess. I don't know, but the Hallmark channel is going to make you cry. I don't care who you are,
Right?
You're going to cry especially if you have a glass of wine in you. And I'm not a wine drinker, so that tells you something. But it's going to start it. It's going to start the flow. You know what I mean? And then I don't want you to drop down drunk. You know what I mean? That's not the objective of
Right.
this. It's just to get you to start doing something that you have learned to shut off. Because when you've covered this all up, we've learned to shut up. We've learned to shut the tears off. So even if your dog gets hit, you don't necessarily maybe cry or really get that out. So
when you're kind of clearing the channel to let the energy flow.
Exactly.
When you open that gate. And sometimes it lasts an hour or so at a time,
Oh, I've had cry fests where, literally I've started crying, and my kids can tell you this, and it hasn't happened in years, thank God.
Yay.
But they'll come down on a Saturday morning and look at me, and tears are coming down my face, and I can't stop them. They're like, Mom, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing.
Right.
They leave, they come back, and they're my mom. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and then 3 days later, I'm still crying. And it's just the tears are flowing, and it's just whatever has been going on is finally releasing.
Yeah.
And I don't have to necessarily know it. Oh my God, it's because of, this died or that died. It's just that energy coming out. Yeah.
It's awesome. Then you tend to just put your finger right on the gate and help pry it open. You don't necessarily kick it open, but you give us some tools to go figure out how to open that gate. It's awesome to see.
Yeah.
So tell us about, we talked about the Reiki thing, and you had mentioned Kuan Yin. That's not something that I'm super familiar with.
Yeah. Kuan Yin is a different,
yes, Diana cried.
it's a different dynamic. It's compassion. It's, and I did it so long ago. And basically for myself, why I did it was back in the day, I used to be Kuan Yin obsessed. Obsessed. I know the history of Kuan Yin backwards and forwards and upside down. And what was happening was I actually have a picture of me drawn of me back before, I was Reiki and everything else. But I went to a psychic medium that did pictures, not, actually drew the picture. And while he was doing the reading on me, he drew a picture of just basically my head and shoulders. And there was Dr. Yusui standing in front, Dr. Yusui was in back with his hands like here on me. And Kuan Yin was in front with her hand right here. And Dr. Yusui was trying to push more energy in. And she was like, no, hold on, you're overpowering her. But I kept getting headaches. And I was like, oh, that understands the dynamic of that. And I thought, you know what? If Kuan Yin's slowing it down, there's a reason for it. There's a reason why she's like, you can keep doing it. She wasn't shoving him away, but there's a reason for it. So I went through this healing, not to become necessarily a practitioner for Kuan Yin, but it was more of to understand how Kuan Yin was working with me, and then to bring her into my own healing sessions. And that is really what ended up happening, is bringing in a lot of that compassion because she's the god or the deity of compassion, which lo and behold, many years later, who knew that she would, those lessons would still stay with me.
It's interesting how we find our lessons.
Yeah.
And we walk into a lesson and don't know it's going to stay with us for X amount of time, right?
Oh yeah.
We just end up there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I love hearing stories from you about your experiences and how different steps you've taken on your path, different directions. When we come back, I would love to continue to talk a little bit more about your growth and development as a healer and how you came to switch gears.
We can do that.
It'd be great. Thanks so much. Stick with us, you guys. We're going to be back in, what is it he used to say, 2 and 2? Maybe not even that long, but we'll be right back. You're watching. Yeah, Chuck Woolery. You're watching the Self-Care Show on WLTK-DB.
to keep up with the latest at the station? How about catch up on your favorite shows on the go? Download the free WLTK-DB mobile app on the App Store and Google Play. Watch, listen, and shop right from the palm of your hand. The WLTK-DB mobile app. The truth is here and now. Get yours today.
And we're all still here. Teresa's still here. Diana came in this morning. She says, I need my cry days. I think women are more prone to recognize that more quickly than men because of the way our society is. A couple other people have popped in, Facebook users, a couple of them, but they're letting us know we're here. And I love that they're bringing us questions as well. That WLTK-DB app has come in really handy for me. And I know you drive a lot when you travel. I try to drive whenever I can as well. Pop on that app and check out to see what's going on. So if you don't have the app downloaded yet, either on your Android phone or your iPod or your iPhone, your iPod, do we still use iPods?
Baby.
It's out there. It's
I
don't
know if people realize we are the very first show to have an app.
Isn't it amazing?
We're the first one out there ever to have an app. Yeah.
Todd is on fire.
Yeah.
Just keeps getting bigger and better. And I love it. And his book, I heard that there are more books being mailed out this week. It's so exciting. I can't wait to read more stories about Todd and how he got where he is and who he is. Because, you know, we all have our different phases we go through in life.
He's turned into the afterlife Santa Claus, the paranormal.
Oh, I love that.
Who wants to call him Haunted Santa?
Teresa is asking if we're doing any readings today. Today is Wednesday. So we got Unfiltered on Tuesday night. You can also always visit DeEtte at her website to schedule a reading with her one-on-one by Zoom. Are you traveling anywhere in the immediate future?
Tampa.
You're not doing readings per se.
You and me, baby.
See you there.
Actually, this weekend, I'm not doing anything special when it comes to readings, but I am. Let's just say me and Mr. Nick Sarlo and a few members of his team are doing a special investigation this weekend, of which nobody is going to see the product of it for months.
Yeah.
But it's the beginning of something special that, it's kind of secret and under thumbs and under wraps right now. And I've been kind of bringing that up, but it is what it is. Next week, I travel to Tampa to hang out with Miss Lisa Williams, my mentor. I am going to be teaching something there, but I'm not telling anybody what. It's just a short time. I'm also going to be helping and doing whatever she needs because I'm one of her master teachers, which I love. I'll tell you what, that's a passion. I do want to tell you, though, because I actually looked at my schedule for the rest of the month. I try
the rest of the month. Yeah, this is.
Well, it gets mind-boggling. My life gets mind-boggling. So on December 17th, I am going to Soul and Synergy up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin at nighttime. It is a gallery. I'm literally doing an event for Alice Cannon, if anybody doesn't know her. She's an amazing woman within the dynamics of this field, and she's worked with some of the best and the greats. Mavis Patilla was a dear friend of hers, James from Prague, Colin Bates, Andy Bing, all of them, Lisa Williams, everybody. But she's been in a fight for cancer for about a year now. I think it's her third or fourth time getting it. Like this is one hell of a thing on her. So we do fundraising things for her every few months, and it's literally, I think it's $100 and you get 3 15-minute readings. Wow. I mean, you don't know who your reader's going to be. So On the 17th during the day, I'll be doing that probably from my car. Who knows? Because I'll be on the road doing Soul and Synergy that night. It's a Christmas thing at their store up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and those tickets are going on sale very soon. And then that Sunday at 3 p.m., from the comfort of our home, me and my Miss Kelly Brickle are to get together to do an online event, of which I'm just starting to share out there, guys, now where you can buy your tickets for that.
Wait, you and Kelly together?
Me and Kelly together online.
How cool.
There's also something special. I'm going to tell everybody. And okay, the station's going on break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going on break.
Right.
Because I scheduled the infamous Mike Ricksetter on the 19th for my show. So Mike Ricksetter and me and Todd are not going to go on break on that Monday morning. My show's not going to get a break, at least that show. So Mike Ricksetter will be on that morning. So, which is awesome.
That's
amazing.
So
not a ton of on the road this month, but you know what? January starts back up and hey, baby, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
What
this is a slow month for me. I'm doing a lot of like Christmas sales and things of that nature instead. And like, hey, let's bring the joy of Christmas. Because, you know, like I told people last night, I believe in Santa. Sorry, I do.
It's awesome.
And so I've never given up my belief.
We got to keep the happy. Excuse me. Got to keep the happy and the fun.
That's right.
And that's part of the aspect, I think, of Santa, as opposed, you know, not just all of the energy of Christmas itself, but the fun and the joy, which is part of Christmas.
Exactly.
Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
Oh, yeah. After the break, I was supposed to ask you, hello, about on your path. And I think you really covered some of the basics of that. We talked about how so many of us find our next step on the path through our own lower points or more difficult times in our lives, because we're just reaching up, right?
Yeah. How my transition happened. Oh my gosh. Quite honestly, 2012 or 2013, I can't remember. I've always been a workaholic. God, I've been a workaholic. And at that given time, I had a fly job for a company where I would fly across the United States doing wellness events for for corporations. And the wellness event was literally going in and doing all their blood pressure, their vitals, they're taking their blood, checking their cholesterol, all that. I was that fly person that showed up, hired the team, trained the team, did it for one day and jumped on a plane to fly someplace else the next day. And I could be in 3 different states across the country any given week. And on Friday, I would get home. I get done with the airport. I drop one suitcase, grab a different suitcase, and I would drive in Wisconsin like 2.5 hours up to this nursing home that I was still doing things for my regular agency with. And I did that for 2.5 years. And I had regular gigs for 2.5 years. I mean, never stopped. And literally all in 1 month, both jobs ceased on July 30th or 31st, whatever the last day of the month was. Both jobs, I was informed. The nursing home was going agency free, and that everybody in the agency I was working for decided to quit. They were doing a walkout, and they told me, you'll probably never work for the agency again because the lady in a different office, we didn't like each other. And sure enough, that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
And my fly job, we got grounded. And I went, how do you go from this to that? And all the same time, miraculously, that man that I was had walked away from came back and forth. He'd come back into my life yet again, all at the same time. And so literally, it was a recipe for disaster for myself. Literally, is what it was. And I think Spirit put me in that place for a reason, because I really need to be broke down. Both my kids decided they were already over the age of 18 and move out, and it was just all at once.
Wow.
And about 6 months later, I still couldn't find a job. I was overqualified for certain things, underqualified. I couldn't get hired. This relationship was going south really, faster than it ever had before.
Yeah.
And one day, all of a sudden, I looked at my daughter and I said, call the police. And she went, are you sure? And I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And I knew he had a warrant for his arrest, because trust me, that he always did. And he got picked up, and I put myself in a storage shed, and I moved to Hayward, Wisconsin. Literally gone. And no, I ran. And I went there to hide is what I did. I went to this great healing place to hide. And I gave up nursing and I went to the original Famous James and got a job. And I was going to get hired as a bartender. I got hired as bartender. They made me a server, lo and behold. Didn't realize I was empathic, knew I was this healer. I went up there, met a lot of healing friends, tried to get into the healing thing, but I didn't click with anybody. It was just like I couldn't click in the healing community for anything, no matter how hard I tried. And so I really worked my butt off at the restaurant and I could easily put 60, 70 hours because I'd walk in there and I'd clean the walls. I mean, I was insane. I mean, just they gave me a job, waitress / clean the building, and I took it to the 10th. Oh God, I could tell you the things I did. You'd be like, who does that to themselves? But then the building burnt down. And I literally was the last server. I closed up the building, and I said goodnight to the cooks and left. The next morning, the building was gone. And I went, I couldn't run anymore. I couldn't hide. And it was wintertime. So in wintertime, you're not getting a job in Hayward. I'm sorry. If you don't have a job, you're done. You're done for the year. And so that's exactly what happened. And somebody posted on Facebook offering their first psychic medium development class, beginners, for free to the first 15 people. And this was in a group of 20,000 people. And of course, I put my name down. And I mean, there was probably 5,000 before me. And I have no clue how, but I got picked. Absolutely no clue how. And I went, okay, what the hell is this? And I did it. And it was all foreign to me. And literally what would happen, we have practice nights. And of course, in beginner's level, everybody, it's your turn and I get the color blue, I get this, I get, what I mean, whatever it was. And she'd go, okay, DeEtte, it's your turn. And I would shut my eyes and I go, all of this would come. Somebody's dead person would come in and it was just so much information so fast. And I'd rattle off in 5 minutes, probably 3 chapters of a book.
Wow.
And I go, oh, okay, thank you, bye. And I'd be done. And everybody'd be like, and this is back before the video. So it was all verbal, you could audio and that was it. And I took her beginners and then she was offering intermediate and I didn't have the money because of course it's winter. There's no money.
Right.
And I said, I thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm not going to go on further. And she's like, yes, you are. And she put me in the next class for free. And I was like, okay. And it happened again. And I went further and then she wanted me in her advance and I paid for that. And that went on for probably about 1.5 years, where I helped her with classes. I went into a mentorship, but literally my life was broken and it was destroyed and spirit was making it worse. And God bless her, but she really had no clue what was happening to me because I was already a broken person and spirit just cracked me the rest of the way. And that's how I found Lisa. It's literally, I ended up on Lisa's doorstep. I feel bad for her because I was a wreck. I mean, and she looked at me. She knew who my mentor was, and she said, "No, she's fabulous." She goes, "You're just more than she can handle, and she doesn't understand it." She's like, "Spirit brought you to me for a reason," and then I became one of her master teachers. And it's just been, I'm not even close to the person I used to be. I was a hard, cold person prior to this. I mean, my idea of teaching somebody, especially when I was nursing, they did not ask me to do orientation. At all. Trust me. Because this poor girl, gosh, God love her. God, I know she still is just, I tormented her in so many ways. Out of school, gets this job at this nursing home. They look, DeEtte, this building left and right. Yeah, I do because I work nonstop. Can you train her? Yeah, I can train her. Why not? Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Great. Walked around the building, showed her where everything was, showed her med cart, showed her, this is back before computers and her cart and her keys and how to count her all this stuff, and handed her the keys. And she goes, aren't I following you? I said, you're a nurse, excuse my language. I'll be over there in 8 hours if you have any questions. And I walked away from her. And she had like 43, 42 patients like that. And she went, geez. And I left. I literally went to the desk and I sat there, and did, word cross or something. I don't know. And she did it. She
Great, sink or swim, baby.
And the next day, they didn't give her to me again. But it was funny because months later, I'd stopped going there, and I think I got the fly job or something. I can't remember what it was. And I came back to do a shift there, and I looked at it. I was hiding like, oh my God. And she looked at me. She goes, that's the best training I ever got. And I'm like, there you go. Like, I got cocky. But honestly, I wasn't a good teacher. I was like, you should know this, and I'm not even close to that person anymore. So thank God. But it was a healing transference that went over for that. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Things show up in interesting ways, don't they?
Yeah, don't they?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you are definitely not that teacher now.
Not even
or trainer.
No, I hold hands now. I help people through it. I mean, I recognize what somebody needs a lot of times, probably not every time, but recognize it and try to help them in the way that they need to be helped to get them through something. So that's the difference, So of course then the medical intuitive showed up all at once too. So it's just, spirit likes to me in the face. So
here, how much can you take in at once?
Boom. There you go. Here's something else. Boom. Yeah.
He had remarked that you were talking about the time in your life when these classes came up. And sometimes it is really frustrating and really difficult to find the finances to give ourselves these opportunities. Kaden, I can tell you, I don't know you. I don't know how many classes you may or may not have considered taking with DeEtte, but you can work through PayPal credit to pay for classes with DeEtte. And let me tell you, if anybody can I got approved for PayPal credit. So it's like a minute and a half process. And
but I also just take payments for a lot of them too. Just like I've told Lisa, I live in Wisconsin, and the Midwest, it's not California, it's not the East Coast. We don't have necessarily, you can look at the national standards and we have less money coming in, you know what I mean, than most places do. So I try to, number one, keep my classes really, really inexpensive, as far down as I possibly can. Because trust me, I'm not, for what a class is for me versus what a cost of a reading is for me. Trust me, I'm not getting rich teaching, but I still do it. So when people need it, I do payment plans with them. And that literally is just, I put the whole thing into PayPal. I set it up with an option to pay as you go. And I just ask within the 2 months to get it paid. So, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Kaden,
I get it, Kaden.
Yeah.
Kaden's in Mississippi. So yeah.
Yeah.
Things are different everywhere, and her classes are by Zoom. So regardless of where you live, you can join in on those classes if you choose to do so.
Yeah. That's how we do it.
So sometimes you do still bring back that teacher a little bit, the trainer a little bit, and like put your boot on us and push us through. But it's what we need. It's awesome.
I haven't been mean to you yet.
No, you have not been mean to me by any shape.
I only bring Rob on TV once in a while because he shows that part of me.
Like by hook and by crook, you got us where we need to go.
You know what? And like I said, some people, if I give you the option, and and I'm going to say it with Rob because I've done it with Rob a few times, and he boasts about it, but he rocks it every time. It's like I'll look at him and go, hey, how do you feel about doing that gallery? Oh yeah, let's do that. When do you want to do it? And I'll hit the button. No.
Right now.
He's just like and he's amazing. He's amazing. You know what I mean? And it's awesome because I'll tell you what, I will hear it from spirit, like do this or do that. But I mean, push, be easy, be gentle wherever it's at. And that's what I follow spirit with this.
Well, and that's what I meant, I think, by you get us where we need to go.
Yeah.
In your teaching is healing as we go through our processes as your students.
That has nothing to do with me, just so you know. Well, all I do is hold hands through that. That's all spirit.
Mary, good morning, Mary. She says she loves the teaching you do in your program. And you do a lot of teaching. You're such a natural at presenting information, whether it be through story or directly, whether it's one-on-one conversation in the classroom context, Unfiltered, Schooled Through Spirit. I love that you have the opportunity to do the weekly polls for us on Mondays and the chats that you have with us before you go into your guest for your show.
I just babble.
I love hearing your story of your healing, and it just shines through in everything that you do.
And the funny thing is I couldn't, those are just like the readings. I never remember them.
Yeah.
I will get glimpse of them through the next hour as I have my guests. I will get glimpse of what I said for the first half hour. Essentially, it's a reading of whatever spirit gives me while I'm going through this. So it's like spirit gave me the topic. And it's funny because Todd will tell you half the time, and I'll be like, he's like, what you going to talk about? I have no clue. And he's like, I've got total faith because you never miss it. And the worst case scenario is I panic, and then I'll pull a card, and the card is like everything that's been going on. I'm like, really, Spirit? They're like, you haven't been listening. I'm like, you're right, I haven't. And then it ends up being a reading for half an hour. That's just a long-term general-based reading for whoever's there, and sometimes it's for me.
Well, and the way the energy works, the way the universe works, so many times we're all going through things that are common because of the universal energies. So I know I've remarked, several other people have remarked, would you just quit talking about me on the air? Because we so identify with the things that you're saying. Caden says he's going to be reaching out to you. I know you can see this too, but not all of our listeners or viewers can. And Mary came back in and said you are natural and genuine. And I think that is what
especially when I show up in the row with the swimsuit. I'm going swimming. Not that y'all needed to know that information. Deidre already knows. She already seen the swimsuit top before I put the shirt on.
Being a natural and being so genuine and being in that place in your life where you're able to be so genuine is what attracts us all to you.
I am just amazing. Me. I've never known how to be anybody but me. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I've met so many people in my life and this drives me batty. I don't know how they do it. I wish I had this skill. And the phone rings. Hey, how you doing? I'm like, the hell did that come? I can't do that.
Yeah.
That phone rings. You better not have me answer because I'm going to scream at you too, just because you stopped my screaming over here.
Right.
Not that I scream at people very often anymore, but
yeah.
I don't know how to not be me. I don't know how to turn on a different switch to make me something else, even at a moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, when you see me, you get what you get. You really do. And it's funny because when I say that, in general, I'm a very introverted person. I'm very happy at home by myself or with my grandbabies and hiding away from the world. That's my happy spot. Like, leave me alone, But I will tell you what, when you watch me walk into an event or you watch me walk on stage and I'm like, boof, and everybody's like, she's an introverted person. Very much. But I also know how to be this person. But when I'm in that moment, that's exactly who I am. I am this extroverted person. And I know it doesn't make sense, but it's just me. It's just me.
Can't be that extroverted person all the time. You do need, not just you, but we all do need that quieter time at home on our own or just with our family so that we can rest and recharge.
Yeah.
And have the energy. Caden, DeEtte, I don't know if you want to answer all of this right now or if we just want to defer to your website, but go for it.
We can defer to the website, but it's basically, I teach psychic mediumship development, Caden, from beginners all the way up through certification. I also teach gallery. I'm developing like 4 other smaller classes right now, all at the same time. But all really kind of encompassing mediumship or psychic abilities.
There we go.
There you go.
So I saw your show with Greg Koss the other day. And
that was last week.
Freeze in that banner. Todd's probably tearing his hair out going, guys, it's 5 minutes to 11.
We got 5 minutes, Todd. We got 5 minutes.
I just saw the time too. But anyway, in the crawl on Greg's show, he referred to you as a teacher of one's spiritual awakening. And I hadn't seen it phrased that way in reference
that was
to
cool,
your
wasn't it?
Before. And
I gotta write that down because I'd forgotten about that teacher.
Well, to be honest, I was so struck by it that I went back and looked it up this morning before we jumped up on the air. And honestly, it's such a fitting phraseology for
teacher of spiritual awakening. I gotta use that.
What you do. And you can't possibly help someone along their spiritual awakening journey without being that natural healer and bringing that to the table.
I liked it because I remember he'd said that, and it struck me when he did it, because that is one thing that I do pride myself in, being able to show up for students.
Yeah.
Because what I do tell people is, are you sure you want to do this? Beginners is fun. Beginners is going to get, understand your tickle tummies. It's enjoyable. It's it's going to straighten your bowels out. I don't know, but you know what I mean? It's going to be what it is. When you commit to the rest, you're committing to you.
Oh, yeah.
You're committing to spirit. And on that journey, your life is going to change, and it's going to change dynamically. And it may not be like big booms in your face, but really when you look back, you're like, holy crap, I'm not the same person. I mean, even in intermediate class, I have honestly had somebody, God bless her heart, I love her. I'm just going to call her D for right now. God bless, she's never finished intermediate. She's tried twice. She's tried twice. And it's because literally the first time through, she literally went, I said, are you ready to commit to you? And she goes, yeah, I need to heal. And I said, yeah, you do. Let's do this. Within a few weeks, she was out of her house, living in a camper in her front yard because they found mold in her house and she could not be in her house anymore. Yeah. That camper then went to the beach. And she'd gone through so much. By the time she got like halfway through, she got home and she goes, I can't do this. I got to process all this.
Yeah.
About a year later, she got back a hold of me and said, let's do this. Still didn't finish. And that by the time she quit the second time, she was living in Hawaii. She'd sold the house, sold this, sold that, and moved to Hawaii. She is back from Hawaii, gets a hold of me, tells me everything that's going on in her life. I said, you ready to start? She goes, oh God, no, we are not going to go. She's like, maybe someday. But it really is committing to yourself. And that's what the spiritual journey, that's what the spiritual awakening is. I mean, for everybody that thinks you're going to get these big boom, boom in your face, it really isn't. The spiritual awakening is really waking up to yourself. It's waking up to who you are and allowing that healing to happen and that process to change who you are into who you're going to become, which is really going to be a dynamic person. It doesn't mean that you're wrong now or that you're defective now. You're just becoming a better version of you with a greater understanding. And I really do believe that's what the classes do, because come on, guys, I'm teaching you to talk to energy. I'm teaching you to talk to dead people. Who does that? You know what I mean? And then you go, holy crap, I'm doing it. Oh boy. Oh God. I've either become clinically insane or this shit's real.
Yeah.
And if it's real, holy crap. Wow. Is that magical? That's wow. And you're doing it. And then it becomes a belief within yourself, maybe something you've never had before. And if you can believe that you're talking to a dead person, and you can believe that the person in front of you is accepting everything you're saying and that's truth, then you have to start believing and hear about you. And that's a dynamic a lot of people don't do about themselves. And when they come to me, that's where it is they may not have a belief in themselves on something. And sometimes it's just that they're okay or they're better than who they are or they've been told they were. And that has nothing to do with me. I'll say it a million times. I give you tools and I'll hold your hand, but the person's got to do the work. And that's what it is.
And you allow the work to happen.
Oh, yeah.
The support you offer, the tools you provide, the way you present them, it's all amazing. And it really is, as we talked about 17,000 times already today during the show, it's all about healing.
It's all about healing.
And if
that's what the work's about, healing.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's healing in here before you can heal the person in front of you.
Yeah. So very cool. As other teachers in my energy work certification healing journey have said, well, we can't have you sitting there working to heal somebody else if you're being triggered by their stuff. So we got to get you healed first.
Yeah. You know what? If you lost your cat and you didn't deal with it and then their cat, you're going to be the sobbing person.
Your mess.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work. They cannot pay you to pat you on the back.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for committing to spend their time with me this morning and with all of us this morning.
I got a date with a 3-year-old in a swimming pool.
And I'll bet he's getting antsy. Time to go.
Yes, he's already been in here once. So
No, thank you again for sharing your time and for coming on the show today and sharing your story and sharing so much of yourself with all of us.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
I'm not going to go through some big long closing today. Todd's going to kick my butt for not running, doing the show rundown. But I will say, Todd has already warned us. He's starting the Christmas credits after
and
the
it's
show.
Awesome, guys.
So,
you got to stay for the credits. They're short, they're sweet, but they're fudging awesome. I've seen them.
Right.
I love them. Enjoy them.
And so are you, Fudging Awesome. Thank you again. Have a fantastic day.
One word at a time.
Enjoy the swimming, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye,
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being with us today.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.